Have you ever wondered about the stories in the Bible that leave us so intrigued beyond their fascinating narratives? They carry hidden mysteries and lessons capable of transforming lives. One such story, found in the book of Judges, reveals betrayal, abuse, death, and even the near extinction of an entire tribe. But what if I told you that amidst the chaos, there is a powerful message of redemption? It may sound contradictory, doesn't it? Get ready to uncover the secrets behind one of the Bible's most impactful narratives, and how it still speaks directly to our hearts today. Few stories in the Bible are as striking as that of Judges 19, verse 21. The backdrop is a time of instability in Israel, when everyone did what seemed right in their own eyes. The pages of this book reveal a plot of betrayal, abuse, and death, where morality is lost amidst the lack of leadership. Imagine living in a society without clear rules, where justice felt distant and mistakes were paid for in blood. Although ancient, this story echoes very modern challenges. In Judges, we are led to reflect on the consequences of human choices, from the betrayal that initiates the conflict to the impulsive decisions that result in tragedies. It's impossible not to consider the lessons we can draw. How many times in life has a seemingly small decision triggered a domino effect of pain? Whether in relationships, work, or faith, it's vital to remember that our choices carry weight. Just as an author carefully chooses every word in a book, our actions write the future. However, this narrative doesn't end in despair. Between the lines, we see a search for redemption, for something greater that can restore what was lost. It teaches us that even in dark moments, there is a guiding light, an opportunity to learn and grow. And as we dive into the complexity of the story, we prepare to understand the role of a concubine and the betrayal that sets unimaginable events into motion. At the heart of this narrative lies the tumultuous relationship between a Levite and his concubine, a union marked by betrayal and mistrust. After the concubine leaves the Levite, he sets out to bring her back, signaling an attempt at reconciliation. However, their reunion carries an emotional weight that transcends the ordinary, reminding us how pain in relationships can create barriers difficult to overcome. Who hasn't witnessed or experienced a conflict where pride and hurt seemed greater than the desire to mend? The return of the concubine to the Levite's home could have been a moment of hope, but the shadows of mistrust remained. This betrayal, more than an individual failure, symbolizes human fragility in the face of unresolved commitments. Today we see reflections of this in relationships that deteriorate due to a lack of communication or the insistence on ignoring deep wounds. Perhaps the greatest lesson here is this: every bond needs care and truth to survive. Unfortunately, the attempt at reconciliation did not bring peace, but rather an extraordinary tragedy. The decisions made at this moment paved the way for devastating events, showing how errors in interpersonal relationships can unleash waves of destruction. Just as a crack in a dam can cause disaster, a small, unresolved mistake can have irreversible consequences. These consequences became even more evident when the couple sought lodging in Gibeah, a place that seemed promising but hid deep flaws. Upon arriving in Gibeah, the Levite and his concubine found more than just a place to spend the night. They found a reflection of a fragmented society. The lack of hospitality in the city was not just a practical problem, but a symptom of a culture where compassion and care were absent. Imagine needing help in a moment of vulnerability and encountering only closed doors. It is this abandonment that makes the story resonate so deeply. A kind old man offers shelter to the couple, contrasting with the coldness of the other inhabitants. However, even his generosity could not prevent the unfolding of terrible events. The ensuing tragedy exposed the flaws not just of Gibeah, but of an entire nation in modern times. Indifference remains one of the greatest threats to human relationships. Are we ready to open our doors, physically or emotionally, to those in need? Thus, Gibeah is not just a place on a map. It is a symbol of the moral decay of an era there. Abuse and violence arose not as isolated acts, but as the fruits of a society without firm, spiritual roots. As the events unfold, we realize that the choices made on that fateful night would lead to consequences no one could have imagined, involving not just individuals, but an entire nation in war. The night in Gibeah turned into a nightmare of unimaginable proportions. The Levite's concubine was brutally abused, an act that shook the moral foundations of Israel and triggered a chain reaction. This was not just a crime against one woman. It was a crime against all human dignity. It is impossible to read this account without feeling the pain and indignation. It provokes this tragedy, in a way mirrors the abuses and injustices we still witness in the world today. Levite, upon realizing what had happened, made a radical decision. He sent a signal to all the tribes of Israel, calling for justice. The response was immediate, but filled with anger and impulsiveness, culminating in a devastating civil war. Think about it, how often do emotionally driven responses lead to more destruction than solutions in the heat of the moment? We lose the ability to see the implications of our actions. A mistake is human as it is dangerous. This war was not just physical, but also spiritual. The tribes turned against one another, destroying not only lives, but also the unity of Israel. It was as if the moral fabric of the nation was unraveling. In our reality, we also face wars in relationships, workplaces, and even communities, when we allow anger and revenge to guide our choices. Yet even amidst destruction, there is room for reflection and learning, a lesson revealed in the profound moral questions the story raises. The story of Judges 19 verse 21 is a painful but essential reminder of the value of responsibility and human dignity. The abuse suffered by the concubine was not just an isolated event, but a reflection of a society that had lost its spiritual direction. It prompts us to ask, what happens when we ignore the value of life, whether in everyday actions or in larger decisions? In modern times, this can be seen in the times we turn a blind eye to injustices or let selfishness guide our attitudes. Additionally, the story highlights the importance of recognizing the consequences of our actions. The Levite, by sending the signal to the tribes, sought justice, but his actions also sparked an uncontrolled reaction. It's an invitation to reflect on how our choices, even well-intentioned ones, can impact those around us. In daily life, this can be as simple as the words we use, or as profound as the decisions we make in our relationships. Yet perhaps the greatest lesson of this story is the need for closeness to God, to restore what has been broken. When we distance ourselves from what gives life, meaning, and purpose, we become vulnerable to forces that destroy us. But as this narrative suggests, there is always the possibility of redemption and reconstruction even after great losses. And this becomes even clearer as we reflect on the chain effects that arise from wrong choices. As we will see ahead, the decisions made by Israel's leaders and tribes during this episode are a powerful testament to the lasting impact of choices. Collective anger fueled by impulsive acts resulted in a war that claimed thousands of lives and nearly wiped out the tribe of Benjamin. It was like watching a flame spread uncontrollably, destroying everything in its path. This is often the case in life. Rash decisions can turn small problems into larger tragedies. When Israel's leaders realized the gravity of their actions, it was too late to undo the losses. The destruction caused was not just physical, but also emotional and spiritual, leaving deep scars across the nation. This situation teaches us that repentance, though necessary, does not erase the consequences. It is a warning to think about the repercussions. Before acting, ask yourself, does my choice build or destroy? This reflection in itself can be transformative. Still, repentance brought with it a desire to repair. Even if belatedly, the tribe sought solutions to preserve the lineage of Benjamin, an act that reminds us that even after grave errors, grace can find space to flourish. This glimpse of redemption prepares us to see the thread of divine grace running through the story, offering protection and a second chance, as we will see in the next chapter. At the climax of the story, when it seemed all was lost, God's grace shone amidst the destruction. The tribe of Benjamin, nearly extinct due to the war's consequences, was given a second chance to rebuild. It was not forgiveness without cost, but a demonstration that, even in the face of catastrophic errors, there is a path to restoration. This teaches us that in our lives, grace can appear in unexpected ways, offering a new beginning. The remaining tribes, moved by repentance, found a way to preserve Benjamin's lineage, ensuring its continuity. This act, though imperfect, symbolizes the power of choosing to rebuild rather than destroy in practice. It is like forgiving someone who hurt us, or giving a second chance to someone who has failed. These acts not only heal the other, but also free us from the chains of the past. This restoration, however, came with a call to reflection. It was impossible to turn back time and erase the wrong choices, but there was an opportunity to build a better future. And this is the message that echoes, even when facing the worst moments, there is protection and grace available to those who seek renewal. Just as the tribe of Benjamin found a second chance, we too can find a path of light amidst the darkness. We have reached the end of this journey, through the lessons and mysteries hidden in the pages of the Bible. But now what? How will you apply everything you've learned? Think about your choices, how you deal with mistakes, and the way you seek redemption. Are you building bridges or widening distances? What Judges 19 verse 21 shows is that even amidst chaos, there is always an opportunity to start anew. Why not start with small steps? Reconcile with those who need it. Choose to act with compassion and strengthen your values. After all, every choice is like a seed that can grow into something extraordinary. And of course, don't miss the chance to keep exploring these profound truths. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and dive with us into more mysteries and teachings that will enrich your life.